delicious treats. And check them out at glazedonutslv.com.
Experience the Artisan Hotel's themed suites, restaurant, bar, pool, and complimentary valet. During the week, the Artisan is a quiet Las Vegas retreat that's great for travelers and locals. The weekend is all about nonstop partying and the award-winning Artisan nightlife. All rooms include free gym access and Wi-Fi. The Artisan Hotel is centrally located between the Strip and downtown Las Vegas. Book your stay at artisanhotel.com. The Artisan Hotel, your unique Las Vegas boutique hotel.
The best choice for convenience, comfort, and value, My Place hotels are ideal for both short-term and long-term travelers. The rooms at My Place features pillow-top mattresses, microfiber bedding, and a variety of soft and firm pillows. All extended stay rooms offer their own kitchen, which includes a full-size refrigerator and a cooktop. On-site laundry facilities are also available for extended stays at pet-friendly My Place hotels. Book your stays online at myplacehotels.com. My Place Hotels, St. George and West Jordan, Utah. Make My Place your place.
Shopping is always easy with the Radio Shopping Show. Whether it's shopping during any one of our live shows right here on AM 1400 or listening live on the KSHP app, you can always call in at 702-221-7283 to pick up great deals with your favorite host. Or shop 24/7 at kshp.com. Go to kshp.com and select Shopper's Guide to browse hundreds of businesses featured on the show. Place your order online and we'll have it shipped right to your front door. With so many possibilities, it's hard not to shop.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro. Nice to meet
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. It is Pushing the Limits, and I am so glad that you decided to choose this show over some of those right-wing buffoonery shows in town. I won't mention any names. Wayne Allen Kook. Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. Good to have you here. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I've got some great guests today, some people that I call friends, some really good people. Roxann McCoy is the president of the local NAACP. Haven't spoken to her in a while, and she's going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. Oh, boy, a lot to get to. Yeah, Kanye West back in the news again. I have an apology for Howard Stern, by the way. I'll explain here coming up in a couple minutes. You might have heard that there's a former football player who's running for office. His name is Herschel Walker. He struggles to put sentences together. Maybe because he took a lot of hits, or maybe a little bit of the fact that he's not very intelligent. I don't know. I know he didn't have a stroke. I know that. For those of you going after Fetterman, I just saying. So a second woman has come forward claiming that she had an abortion because Herschel Walker pressured her into doing so. We are going to be speaking to that woman's attorney. They held a press conference yesterday. Of course, I'm talking about attorney Gloria Allred. She's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. This is important. Why is it important? Well, because Herschel Walker calls himself Mr. Pro-Life, but now a second woman has come forward claiming that she had an abortion and it was Herschel Walker's kid. And I think this is the case with many people out there, believe it or not, that call themselves pro-life that are on the far right. I would imagine some of these women that call themselves pro-lifers have probably had abortions themselves. And by the way, I'm not going to criticize them for that. It's your body. You should be able to do whatever you want with your body, but it's called hypocrisy. That's what it is. A lot of people that call themselves pro-life. That's what they are. That's what they are. So anyway, we're going to be joined by Roxann McCoy here, coming up here in just a little bit. Mark Anderson, who is a great sports journalist, and used to work at the RJ, does a great job covering local sports. Well, he just got a new gig, and I'm really happy for him because he's a good guy and he's very good at what he does. just got a new gig here covering all the stuff. Raiders, UNLV, Aces for the Associated Press. He's going to be joining us coming up in hour number 2. And as I mentioned, Gloria Allred will be joining us here in about 25 minutes. But now joining me in studio, I'm very happy to have her here as she gets settled in. She has such a busy schedule. I don't think she has any time to breathe. But I am so happy that the local president of the local NAACP and my good friend Roxann McCoy is joining us in studio right now. Roxann, I'll let you catch your breath here. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for being here. How are you doing? All right, I'll give you a couple minutes. I'm sorry. I appreciate you rushing to get here, by the way. That does mean a lot to me. And, she has like a million different things that she does every single day besides taking care of her family. And as the president voluntary for the NAACP, she also has other jobs that she does as well. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here, Roxann. How are you?
I am good. It is officially afternoon, so good afternoon.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. It's been a little while. How have you been?
It's been a little while. I've been busy trying to make a difference.
Well, I know you do that, and I appreciate all the great work you do at the local NAACP, which, of course, I support. Before we go ahead.
But, I wanted to just take a minute here to say I missed you, and I
missed
your fans, and I want to tell all those that are out there that were like, dying to know where I've been and where I am. Thank you for making me feel so important and relevant.
Yes.
Even though you call me names and all that other fun stuff. So I know that I'm making a difference and being impactful. So thank you.
Listen, there are people, not just in this community, as you know, sadly, there are people across the country that don't want brown people, don't want minorities to succeed. Those people are what I call racists. Now, some people will call me a race baiter for making statements like that, because they don't want to hear truth. My former co-host, who I really don't want to think about or talk about, but I will say, defended Kanye West on social media. We'll get to that, okay? Let's have a little bit of fun to start. We're going to talk about some serious issues. Now, I'm going to say fun because sometimes I get buffoons that call into the show, okay? That's my favorite word, as you know, buffoon. So somebody called into the show yesterday and did bring up your name. I want to play the audio for you, and I want to let you respond to it. Of course, I defended you, as I would always defend my friends, but I want you to listen to this interaction that I had with a caller that called in yesterday.
By the way, you know who I missed on your show? I'm wondering what happened to Roxann, and when is she going to be on the show?
Well, that's the one thing that I'm happy you asked that, JD, to be honest with you. I'm sure she would appreciate that. Roxann was actually supposed to come on last week. She's a very busy lady. She had another engagement. I love Roxann to death, and I promise you she will be on the show.
Another race baiter.
So he called you a race baiter, and then we go. I didn't want to play the rest of the call. I think you heard it because I sent it to you yesterday, where I asked him, what do you volunteer for and what do you do for the community? Because clearly he has absolutely no idea what you do, or if he does know what you do, he has a problem with anybody helping black people. That maybe that's the case. I don't know, but I'll let you respond to that. Go ahead.
Well, sometimes, Brian, and I share this with you a lot, is that all the comments don't deserve a response.
Yeah.
First and foremost. But for him, I was glad to know that he missed me. That was very flattering. So thank you very much, JD, for missing me. But I am here, and we're going to talk about things that are important.
Sure.
And race is a big issue in this country. Unfortunately, it's a conversation that must be had. If it would be my preference and the world were different and we did not have to discuss these things, then the world would be an amazing place. But that's not the reality in which we live in. And so we're going to have the conversation until stuff changes.
Sure. Very, very well said. I don't think we need to spend any more time on that. As I'm sure you would agree with me, there are so many successful people in this country who are black that do so many wonderful things for people like yourself. But there are a few people that have been in the news, sadly, over the course of the last few weeks and several months, that, in my personal opinion, are an embarrassment to the black community. Those two people are Herschel Walker, in my opinion, and Kanye West. Let's start with Herschel Walker, because we have Gloria Allred, who's coming on the show in about 20 minutes, as I'm sure you've heard. A second woman now has come forward claiming that she had an abortion with Herschel Walker. Now, I don't find Herschel Walker to be the brightest bulb in the world. And if he got hit too many times in the head, I have sympathy for him. I also feel like there's people that are using him as a pawn, the Republican Party. He shouldn't be in that position. I don't know him personally, but I do know that some of his family members have spoken out. His son has spoken out saying that he wasn't there for him and that he's a liar. There's not a lot of people that are close to him, like really close to him, that have said a lot of nice things for him. The people that are saying nice things about him are the Lindsey Grahams of the world and the Republicans that don't know him at all. What do you make of this story? What do you make of Republicans, in my opinion, using Herschel Walker as a pawn, and Herschel Walker calling himself pro-life? I believe these women that have come forward. What do you make of this?
Well, first and foremost is that I don't blame the Republicans for using him as a pawn. I think it shows his lack of intelligence for allowing himself to be used as a pawn, because that's exactly what's taken place. When I think about him, it's really kind of sad for me, because it shows he lacks integrity. If the people that are close to him, and forget all the people that have no clue about who he is as a father, as a husband, as a lover, or anything else, want to like praise him because they need him to be a symbol for him. But the people that are actually intimately involved with him saying, no, this is not the man that he is portraying that he is right now.
Right.
This is not that man. And Herschel, I think, is a has-been, and they're resurrecting him. And he wants that attention. He wants to be relevant again. And in order to do so, he has to play the game. He has to humiliate himself, his family, and everybody else that comes in contact with him, because I think he has no integrity whatsoever. And I do believe these women, why would they want to just come up and make this up about him when he put himself out there? He was the one that's saying, oh, I'm pro-life all of a sudden. Well, of course, you're pro-life now after you done killed the babies you didn't want. Right. You're pro-life now after you never took care of the babies that you had. So which one is it, Herschel? Which Herschel are you? So
I agree 100%. I think the worst thing about this is because Herschel Walker decided to do this, we've learned the person that Herschel Walker is. Clearly, he's not a family man like he claims he is. His own son coming out. Clearly not a very good man as far as treating women are concerned. A lot of women have come out too, saying that he was abusive, that he forced these women into getting abortions. It should be the woman's choice ultimately. Doesn't seem like a very nice guy, and also claiming to be the family man where he wasn't there for his kids.
But and it's okay if you want to be pro-life, but at that time he was a high-profile individual. He was an all-star athlete, and so those women wanted to be a part of his universe as well. But ultimately, he made the decision that I don't want to have children by you. And this is what women are saying. We have a right to choose. And now all of a sudden that you don't want to have kids or probably can't have kids anymore, you want to tell me what I can do with my body.
Right.
So it's like you're hypocritical unless it's convenient for you.
Yeah.
And that's how sometimes too many people in both parties, I'm not going to say one or the other, both parties want to use the rhetoric when it's convenient for their platform at that moment.
You're right. It's interesting to me. I use the term hypocrisy a lot when it comes to Republicans these days. I'm sure there are examples out there where Democrats, are hypocrites as well. I'm not saying that otherwise, but these days, hypocrisy. Let me explain why. This guy Fetterman, who's running against Dr. Oz, right? It's sad. The guy had a stroke. He seems like a decent man, a good family man, a good father, a good husband. He seems like a good guy. I don't have anything bad to say about him. I agree with a lot of his policies, but he struggled the other day on stage.
Yeah.
He had a stroke 6 months ago. That's not abnormal, right? The Republicans who are going after Fetterman, he can't put sentences together, are some of the same people that are supporting Herschel Walker. I find that to be the definition of hypocrisy. If you don't want Fetterman on stage because he had a stroke, then you probably shouldn't be supporting Herschel Walker. I don't know what his excuse is. Maybe he got hit too many times in the head. That's the only thing I can think of. But have you listened to Herschel Walker try and speak?
Right.
It's an embarrassment. The thing is, the things that come out of his mouth, regardless of a stutter or a pause or misspeaking, his positions are absurd. When I listen to Fetterman speak, I don't care whether it's a stutter. I don't care if he misspeaks. What I care about are his positions. And I like Fetterman's positions. The right to choose for a woman, taxing the rich. He wants more gun control. Okay. He wants the universal health care. He supports Obamacare. He supports a woman when it comes to maternity leave and helping the poor. I agree with his positions. I don't care if he's deaf or can't speak. As long as his message comes across, that's what I care about.
And I agree with you 100%. The one thing that I admired about him is that he knew the disabilities that he have right now, but he had the courage of his conviction to say, I will not run and I will not hide from this. I am going to stand in the trenches and let you see me as I go through these issues and challenges because of this stroke that he had. I had so much more respect for him for those reasons alone that, but then you can take his policies and take politics out. Is that right about now, though? It's not about nobody's policies and procedures one way or the other. It's really only about red and blue, a D and an R. And it doesn't matter what your practices are. It doesn't matter how much intelligence you have, how much integrity you have. You either on the red side or the blue side. And that's all that really matters.
No, I agree with you. If you're just joining us, she is Roxann McCoy. She is the president of the Las Vegas NAACP. So we talked a little bit about, courage. And I got to tell you, when you have a stroke and your opponent is a TV celebrity in Dr. Oz who's going to be polished. And you're right. It took a lot of courage for him to get up there on a stage, knowing that he would have gaffes, knowing that he would need to read instead of being able to hear and comprehend some of the questions. I agree with you. I have a lot of respect for him for doing that. And I would say the same thing for any Republican out there that has any sort of disability that does the same. And there are people out there that will still rag on Joe Biden for having a stuttering problem. The man is almost 80 years old as well. And I played yesterday for Michelle. I played some of the gaffes of Donald Trump, not because I wanted to make fun of Donald Trump for the gaffes that he made, but that nobody is perfect. They'll have gaffes, they make mistakes, and that is not why I dislike Donald Trump. I don't mind if people misspeak. I don't mind if they have gaffes. What I care about is their actual message. To me, that should be more important than anything else, regardless of how they get it out there, regardless of the gaffes that they have or a handicap they might have, whatever the case is. Sadly, the debate hurt Fetterman, because there are people out there that are looking at that and they will see that as weakness when I see it as strength, actually.
Absolutely.
I think Dr. Oz is going to win.
Just because of his celebrity,
right,
and the party in which he's representing. And I think that for too many of us right now is that you as an individual, I can respect you. I don't care what color and what party you're repping. If you have the courage of your conviction, that you're standing on what you believe in versus regurgitating what somebody else is telling you that you should believe in and what you should say. So if this is my position, I'm willing to stand on it. But if it's your position, Brian, I'm going to let you stand on your own position. I'm not going to stand on it for you.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
And we have too many people standing on other people's position, or they got to rep this party one way or another, which is total BS.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 150%. We're going to get to the Kanye stuff a little bit later in the show. I know you're going to have some strong opinions on that, and we'll talk about it. But since you're so active in this community and doing so many great things helping people, I want to get your thoughts on these local elections. I've had many of these people in studio. We had Dina Titus in studio the other day. I had her opponent, Mark Robertson, in studio, who refused to answer the question whether he trusted Donald Trump or not. After going on a diatribe of attacking Dr. Fauci, he refused to answer whether he trusted Trump. I played that for Titus, and we were having a little fun with that. But there are a lot of election deniers that I think could win. Adam Laxalt being one of them. I think Mastel wins. I think it's a very close race.
It's a very one.
Another election denier who doesn't want to, who believes there should be no exceptions, whether incest or rape for women when it comes to abortion. Refuses to admit Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. Jim Marchant is another Looney Tune whack job. Sigal Chattah, who was supposed to do this show last week and then canceled last minute. But some of these people, and by the way, that's not why I dislike her. I dislike her because she said her opponent should be hanging from a crane, among other things. That's beneath office for anybody. What do you make?
It's blatant racism.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? I mean, what do you make of some of these candidates on the right that are election deniers and they don't live in reality? Either that or they're just lying to get votes. I mean, what do you make of this?
Well, I think I started out saying it earlier, Brian, is that it doesn't really matter. They don't have to admit to anything as long as they belong within a certain color. That's all that matters, right? So if they're race baiters, if they're racist, if they support Donald Trump, if they, whatever they might have said, really in this election right now, none of it matters. If you're either on the D or an R, that's all that matters. So we keep on trying to get to the integrity of the individual when that's all out the door now. It's all out the door.
Yeah.
It's all about if you are over here, you're going to vote over here, regardless of who these people are as individuals, regardless of who they are. And
Agreed.
if you're over here, that's what you're going to do. And frankly, I'm a little concerned about the elections. I really
As am I.
We have very, very, very low voter turnout right now, and that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign.
The more people that vote, the more it benefits Democrats. There's no question about that. And I am with you 150%. I've been pretty strong in my opinions on what I think is going to happen. I'm pretty confident that Steve Sisolak is going to be reelected. I do not believe Joe Lombardo is going to win. I'm pretty confident that Jim Marchant is not going to win. Sigal Chatt is not going to win. I think Adam Laxalt's going to possibly beat Catherine Cortez Masto.
I think so as well.
Yeah,
I don't know. Even I'm going to go back to the governor's race. I don't know. I
think there's too many independents that will not vote for Joe Lombardo.
No, I think that there's a lot of them that will, though.
Really? Well, you might be right. I mean, I hope you're wrong.
Well, so do I.
You've had plenty of interactions with Joe Lombardo, right? You've had plenty of interactions with this man, and now this story comes out. I don't know if you're the one who sent it to me, actually. A court order obtained by News 3 revealed that the Las Vegas Metro Police Department must pay out attorney fees and costs totaling around $86,000. We're the ones that have to pay that, taxpayers. Lawsuit involving the Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo's email account. What do you make of this story?
Well, I think everybody kind of saw it. I mean, there's no way that he's doing LVMPD's work and campaigning at the same time.
Yeah.
So they were definitely commingled. And I think that was a conversation that came up quite a bit. And as you see, they chose to settle versus to release all the information. So I think that said a lot by itself.
Obviously, that's guilt. What do you make of, listen, you've spoken with Joe Lombardo behind closed doors when the media wasn't there, when the mics weren't on. What do you make of him personally? I'm curious.
Personally, I think that he is a fair man. I've worked with Joe for many, many years as the sheriff of LVMPD. And in my interactions with him, if there is an issue, whether he agreed with you or disagreed with you, I found him to be reasonable and he would listen. He might not like it, but he will listen. And if you had valid points, he was willing to implement the changes that were necessary. And so, Joe and I will go toe to toe with one another. But if Joe, he will always acquiesce to what he feels is right and going to be the best thing for that police department. And for that, I have respect for him as being the sheriff. Now, do they have a lot of things that they could correct and he could correct? Absolutely. But we're all humans and we're growing and we continue to learn as we live. But I found him to be a fair person. Now, with that being said, I will say that when he did choose to put his name in the hat for governor, I did see some things that came out with him and going all the way to the Trump supporters. I didn't see that, Joe, when I worked for him.
I think that's pandering.
And so it kind of gave me pause to say, okay, which Joe is the real Joe? I don't know. I
believe, in my personal opinion, the real Joe is probably the one you interacted with. But I also believe it's kind of like, I don't want to use the term integrity, but it's like, if you're going to say things just to get votes, then, a lot of politicians do that. He's not alone. Then what do I make of that? I believe he panders and he says things so that he can win. Let me be clear on this. I am not a Joe Lombardo supporter, not because he's a Republican. I don't like some of his policies, don't like some of his views. I don't like it that if he doesn't like a newspaper like the Las Vegas Sun, he wants to take him out. That's dictatorship. I don't like that. That's Donald Trump stuff. With that being said, Joe Lombardo is not Adam Laxalt. He is not an election denier. He is not Jim Marchant. He's not a Looney Tune. He's a fairly intelligent man. I will say that about Lombardo. Jim Marchant is a moron. He probably isn't any smarter than Kanye West, quite frankly. And I'm not talking about business. I'm talking about just in general in life. So I don't think Joe Lombardo is this horrible human being. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I just disagree with the way he goes about things sometimes. But with that being said, no, I'm going to vote for Steve Sisolak, even though I don't think Steve Sisolak is perfect. He's far from perfect. I don't agree with a lot of the things that he does, but I do agree with a lot of things he did when it came to COVID. And I would rather have Steve Sisolak in office than Joe Lombardo. I also think Kevin McNahill, who you're a friend of, Kevin's been here before and he's been on my show a few times. I like Kevin. I think he's going to be a good sheriff. I actually think Kevin's going to be a better sheriff than Joe Lombardo.
He's going to be a great sheriff.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, a lot of the changes that took place with Kevin as the undersheriff, it was because Kevin spearheaded those. But of course, he did have to get the blessings from his boss, which was Joe.
Right.
But I wanted to just say this too, is that I do think that being the Democrat and Republican, that, you know, at the end of the day, they want to win the race by all means necessary. And I think that he is pandering to them, you know, him wanting to take out the newspaper because he disagrees. I think that goes a little deeper because Joe has disagreed with me on several occasions and he's willing to say, you know what, I think you're right. We could probably do this a better way.
But Roxann, what about judgment? Okay. I know Stephen Klubeck. We talk from time to time. He's a billionaire donor to the Democrat Party. If you're Joe Lombardo, why on earth would you be texting that stuff to Stephen Klubeck, who you know is a big Democrat donor? Why would you put that in ink? He texted him that stuff. And I talked to Stephen about this, and I said to Stephen, why would he do that? Why would he text you? And Stephen's response to me was, I have no idea. I don't know. If you're Joe Lombardo, to me, that speaks to your judgment. Even if you feel that way, why would you go the extra length and text it to somebody who's a huge Democrat who you know doesn't want you to win?
That you can't deny.
Why would you do that, Roxann? Explain that to me. I can't understand it.
Maybe he was just having a lull in his memory bank or something, or just a really low moment or something like that, because I didn't get that one at all, that you literally put this in writing to this man. And I don't, maybe he thought he was a friend for all of a few minutes.
I mean, it'd be one thing if you sent it to one of your campaign staff or a huge staunch Republican supporter. But again, this is one of the biggest Democrat donors on the planet. And you're sending him that text message.
Sometimes everything you think don't need to be said. And
That's
he
true.
Just kept that to himself.
Yeah.
Period.
Listen, I don't like members of the media. It doesn't mean I'm not a huge fan of the Review Journal.
Yeah,
I'm not. I don't like who they endorse most of the time.
Agreed.
I don't like a lot of what they stand for most of the time. I don't like, the political opinions of the person who, the family that owns the RJ.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm not going to say get rid of them. You know, I mean,
well, no,
that's
but if you think about how Donald Trump led, that is his mentality, and that mentality just flows right down to the other people that are under that umbrella,
right?
You know, far too often. And so, I'm going to go back. You said, Steve Sisolak. I agree with a lot of things he did, and I think that he did make a lot of missteps. But he came into governorship at one of the worst times in history of the world, not just in Nevada, but the history. And he has to try to maneuver these things and figure out what's going to be best for this state as a whole and not just individuals.
Right.
And I think under the circumstances, he made the best decision that he could. And I respected him for making a decision that he's willing to stand on.
As I would say for any politician when it came to the shutdowns, and I told this to the governor to his face, I said, these Republicans, while I don't agree with everything he did when it came to COVID, I said, these Republicans think, Governor, you just woke up one day. I said this to him at an AC. I said, they think you just woke up one day and said, hey, I know how I could remain in power and get votes. Let me just shut everything down. And he started laughing. He's like, you're absolutely right. Because it's so ridiculous, right?
Totally.
We can disagree with some of the things he did, but it's not like he shut things down because he enjoys ruining your business or his
opportunity for reelection. Right.
He did what he thought, not just necessarily what he thought was right, but what professionals in the medical field thought was the right thing to do. And by the way, I think shutting down the Strip, I know that was the right thing to do at the time. Could have been better. Maybe if you did it a little bit earlier, maybe we can Monday morning quarterback, but that saved lives.
Absolutely.
While it hurt people financially, and I understand that, and I sympathize with you on that. I would rather somebody get hurt financially than somebody die. That's what we're talking about here. It's a horrible trade-off. There were no winners during COVID, but I agree with you. I respect Governor Sisolak. No question about that. All right. She's Roxann McCoy. She's the president of the local Las Vegas NAACP. So happy that she's here and she's going to be sticking around. So we talked a little bit about Herschel Walker. We're going to continue now because the attorney that is representing the second woman that came out yesterday claiming that she had an abortion and Herschel Walker drove her to the abortion clinic and in a way coerced her and put pressure on her to get that abortion. Well, that woman's attorney is Gloria Allred, and she's going to be joining us next. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You are listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. All right.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
As a 3-time international award-winning restaurant, Joe's New York Pizza uses only the freshest and best available ingredients. From giant slices of hand-tossed pie to calzones, strombolis, fingers, and wings, Joe's serves all your favorites. Stop in for a slice at one of their 2 Las Vegas locations at Paradise and Harmon or South Las Vegas Boulevard, or you can check out their menu at joesnewyorkpizzalv.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. I'm so glad you could join us, and I am so glad I am joined today by the local director of Las Vegas, the president of the NAACP, Roxann McCoy, here as well. We've been talking a little bit about Herschel Walker. A second woman has come forward. She came forward yesterday at the press conference claiming that she had an abortion and it was Herschel Walker's child. This happened back in 2009. There were greeting cards that were shown, pictures of Herschel Walker, proof of a relationship that took place. By the way, when Herschel Walker was asked about this on Fox News yesterday, he did not deny that he knew this woman, but he's claiming that it's a lie, just like the first woman that came forward. Well, the second woman that came forward, the attorney that is representing her is somebody that I have a ton of respect for, and I always enjoy it when she joins us on the show. Of course, I'm talking about Gloria Allred, who's a very busy lady, but I always appreciate her time. Gloria, it's good to see you again. How are you?
Well, you too. And right now, you're the only radio show that I am doing after the press conference yesterday because, you know, you're always so kind to invite me. And I just wanted to be sure that when you invite me, that if it's at all humanly possible, I want to say yes to Brian Shapiro.
Well, that's very nice of you, Gloria. I really do appreciate that. And you know how much respect I have for you. All right. So, let me start by playing this audio, if I can, for you. So as you know, Herschel Walker, then we'll get to your press conference. So Herschel Walker holds a press conference yesterday, and standing right behind him is Lindsey Graham. Right. And Lindsey Graham makes this statement specifically about you. I want you to hear this, and I want to give you a chance to respond to it. This is Lindsey Graham, and this is yesterday at a press conference.
People here are not going to tolerate it. No. There's going to be a backlash in Georgia. Yes, sir. This is coming from L.A. It's coming from an activist Democratic celebrity lawyer who went to the 2016 convention for Hillary Clinton, and people in Georgia are not this dumb.
Okay, so activist Democrat lawyer Lindsey Graham is calling you as if you supporting Hillary Clinton means that this woman that you're representing must be lying, which I find to be utterly ridiculous. But I want to give you a chance to respond to that, Gloria. Go ahead.
It is ridiculous. And of course, again, they are not willing to deal with that allegation about me. Is that I have always been equal opportunity targeter of men who hurt women. And for example, I filed a lawsuit against Mayor Filner when he was the Democratic mayor of San Diego, former congressperson, Mayor Filner. And we alleged that he sexually harassed my client at the time. And as a result, every day after I did that press conference and we filed that lawsuit, another woman came forward for about 19 days. We with Mayor Filner ultimately. And as condition of the settlement, he had to step down as mayor of San Diego. So that's a Democrat. I also criticized Congressperson Anthony Weiner many years ago, Democrat, for the whole sex texting issue. And I had a client that I came forward with on that. I won't go down. There are other lists of Democrats that I've criticized publicly. So really, I'm there to help my clients speak the truth, their truth. That's what happened yesterday. And he's not going to be able to essentially create like red herrings. Look here, we don't talk about Gloria. Look here, we want to talk about Democrats. Look here, anything to distract from the fact, as you pointed out so well, Brian, that after we gave an itemization of their relationship and about the abortion and showed proof of his relationship with her, he didn't deny the whole abortion thing. He just does name calling. Oh, lie. That's a lie. And actually, I think he said it. If I'm correct, I think he said it was a lie before I even gave the details.
Yeah, he probably did, Gloria. And, by the way, Lindsey Graham is, speaking of Lindsey Graham, Lindsey Graham is not really somebody that has said anything negative about any Republicans lately. That's for sure. He's worried more about remaining in office, right?
So talk about projecting the fact that, he doesn't attack other Republicans. So I'm known for, people know who I am. They know that I do it. I call it as I see it.
Sure.
And, we vet our clients very carefully, by the way.
I know that.
So we stand behind this and, let's see what's going to happen next is all I can say.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about the press conference you held yesterday. First of all, if you don't mind me asking, did this woman reach out to you? How did you find this woman? And what was the first interaction like?
Okay. I never go out and look for people. We are well known. We are the leading women's rights law firm in the nation, frankly, if not the world. I'm just conservative about the world in case there's somebody I haven't heard of. But anyway,
understood.
Because I get clients reaching out from Europe to me and Asia. So in any event, and South America, now that I think about it.
Yep.
But in any event, no, she contacted me and my law office. And that's how she came to me. I would not have known who she was or that there was such a relationship. And anyway, that's what happened.
Gotcha. Okay. So
and we spoke to her in confidence, by the way.
Right.
And how, once she retained us, and of course, all calls to us are in confidence. And once she retained us, we did a lot of research. We did a lot of, corroboration of what she told us. And so then we were ready to proceed yesterday.
So, Gloria, this is a really important point I want to make. It's not like this woman is seeking to write a book or a movie or making monetary value off of this. When you hear people that might lose some credibility, if they have a reasoning to write a book, and by the way, women can still be assaulted and write a book. I'm not saying that's not possible. I'm saying it helps credibility. This woman isn't making any money. She's not filing any lawsuits. My understanding is she just wants the truth to come out and wants to call out Herschel Walker for his BS, right?
Well, exactly. As a matter of fact, she even flew out to see me at her own expense.
Wow.
So, you know what I mean? This is a person who, wants the voters to know the truth. That's all. Her truth, they can evaluate it, and then they can decide if they want to vote for somebody who is a known liar. This is not the first time. And it may not be the last. I don't know what else he's going to say during the campaign. So that's, again, as I said yesterday at the press conference, this is not just about Herschel Walker, this election. Every person who is thinking about voting for Herschel Walker, it's not just about his values, it's about your values.
Right.
Is it your value to condone lying to the public, lying about a relationship which you had for a very long time, number of years, with someone that you said you loved and that loved you? And is that okay to lie to the public who's thinking about whether to vote for you?
Yeah.
Is that something you would say to your children as a parent? Sure. Be just like Herschel Walker. Lie, and lie.
Yeah. And by the way, Gloria,
I wouldn't want to say that. Yeah.
No, and Gloria, it's not just you saying that. It's not just these two women that have come forward. It's his own son. I'm sure you saw that video.
I did, Christian.
Yeah, immediate members. And by the way, I give that kid Christian a lot of credit. That was a lot of bravery for doing what he did. These are members of his own immediate family that are calling out his crap. To me, Gloria, tell me if you disagree or not. This is more than just hypocrisy and Herschel Walker lying. It's also about a pattern of behavior, the way he has treated women. My understanding with this woman, the second woman that came forward that you are representing, he kind of coerced her and put pressure on her to get an abortion. Is that true?
Well, she says that it is, because that she had gone there the day before. By the way, she was pregnant with his, as a result of his having a relationship with her, an intimate relationship. She wasn't intimate with anyone else during that time period. And she went herself the day before and to the clinic and was going to have the abortion. And then she got so emotionally upset and was crying, and she just couldn't go through with it. She was confused. She didn't know what to do. All right.
Yeah.
And so she couldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're
go with you, okay. And he took her and he pressured her to do it. So who does that? What kind of person who says that he's anti-choice? He calls it pro-life, but I call it anti-choice.
Agree.
I call it mandatory motherhood, but whatever. What kind of person then kind of puts pressure on her to have an abortion? I don't think anybody should compel a woman to have an abortion if she doesn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody, should compel her, say that she should have to carry a pregnancy to term if she doesn't want to. Yeah. But, men should be supportive of women and what their choices are, and not say, okay, got to go today, or whatever it is that was said in that conversation. And I'm going with you, and then waiting in the parking lot for hours, according to Jane Doe. And then taking her to get the meds, the prescription after the abortion. Really? No, that is not right.
What would you say, Gloria, to the prominent politicians out there that are taking the side of Herschel Walker, that are actually campaigning with him, like the Lindsey Grahams of the world and the Tom Cottons of the world? What would be your message to those people that are standing behind Herschel Walker in support of him winning or attempting to win an election?
That's standing beside him when you know that he's lying. Not just about this, other things as well that have come out in the news.
Right.
Shows that you're all about a power grab and you're not about living your values. The values that are most important in any elected official are their integrity, their honesty, and are they living their values? Are they not just talking the talk, but are they walking the walk to live their values even when it's hard? Okay. No, they're going to stand by him no matter what. They're going to pour multi-millions into this campaign no matter what. They don't mind treading on a woman that had a long relationship with a woman. standing there while he lies about this woman. They don't care. And that's a statement about them. That's a statement about what those people are like. Okay. Everyone can decide for themselves about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree with you 150%. If you're just joining us.
And I guess they think that maybe if, as and when he were to be elected, God forbid all that, if he were to be, that they can just like lead him around and tell him, okay, vote this way, vote that way, just do whatever we say.
Right.
Because we got you here.
Yeah.
So just, I mean, really, I don't know what their plan is, but I shudder to think what would happen if he were there.
Well, let me be very clear. I believe your client 150%. Herschel Walker is a liar. I can use other words to describe him personally, but I won't do that. I believe your client 150%. I believe the first women that came forward. I have no reason to doubt them, and I have every reason to doubt Herschel Walker. If you're just joining us, she is attorney Gloria Allred. We're talking about a second woman that has come forward saying that she had an abortion, and it was Herschel Walker's child. I want to switch topics here real quickly, Gloria, if I may, because you've represented clients, media members, photographers that have been assaulted by Kanye West. You've had to deal with Kanye West and his attorneys and his people. I wanted to ask you, what do you make of his anti-Semitic rhetoric and statements that have been made over the course of the last several weeks? It's obviously a big story. You've been involved with his attorneys and his people. What do you make of this?
Very disturbing. And I think, of course, he has the right of free speech. We all do. But there are also consequences for speech. So now he's got to face the consequences. And those consequences are financial. Mm-hmm. It has an impact on his brand, which helps him to market himself and market the products of businesses who endorse him. And now many of the businesses are pulling away. And I'm giving a lot of kudos to those who are saying, we don't want him associated with our brand. Not somebody who's anti-Semitic. I don't even want to repeat the things that he said. They're so awful about Jewish people. I happen to be Jewish. But I stand up for the rights of other people who are not Jewish. Yeah. And he has to pay the consequences. And part of it is he's going to lose endorsements and brands and lose a lot of money. And I don't have any sympathy for him because he should have thought about that before he said what he did.
Gloria, I am Jewish as well. And do you agree with me, though, that while a lot of good people in this country, both sides of the aisle, but a lot of good people in this country have come out against Kanye, it seems like there's a lot of silence on the right. That's just my personal opinion. There's a lot of silence, and there are people that are actually still backing Kanye West. Now, luckily, the majority are not, but there's a lot of silence. It seems like a lot of silence, particularly on the right, including the National GOP Twitter page, which endorsed Kanye West not that long ago, and they haven't deleted that tweet. What do you make of that?
Wow. That is shocking. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I didn't know that.
Yep. And
again, is power and like somebody having them, on their side, so to speak, helping Trump and all of that, that Kanye did. Is that more important than what happened in the Holocaust? The Holocaust started with words. It started with Hitler and the party, reducing, just constant attacks on Jewish people, calling them things again that I don't want to repeat, but not treating them as human beings worthy of respect, Jewish people. And 6 million children, women, men were murdered. I don't say died because they didn't just die. They were murdered either in the, death camps, Auschwitz, or by starving them to death, or, many ways. And we have to take it seriously at the beginning is what I'm saying. We can't wait for a genocide. We can't wait for another Holocaust. Agreed. And that is why it is right to do it now, to do something about it now.
agree with you. Obviously, you're a champion for women's rights. Sadly, you've had to represent a lot of women who have been the victims of rape, sexual assault. So
I also represent some men who have been victims of rape
Yeah,
and
of
sexual
course.
assault too, by the way, against powerful people. So go ahead.
Absolutely. It goes both ways, no question. But I want to ask you, in the case of abortion, there are Republicans, and I say Republicans because I haven't spoken to one Democrat that feels this way, but there are Republicans in this country, as you know, like the Governor Abbotts of the world, that forget about just wanting to ban abortion. They don't want exceptions for women that have been the victims of sexual assault or incest. Somebody like yourself that has spent your entire career dedicating it to women and sadly women that have been the victims of sexual assault. What is your message to these Republicans out there that want to ban, if they had it their way, ban all abortions in this country? Doesn't matter whether a woman is raped or not. And Abbott's response is, well, we'll provide them baby formula, as he did on a debate stage a few weeks ago. What would be your message to these Republicans?
I have spoken publicly about the fact that I had an abortion when it was a crime, not for a woman to have one, but for a licensed healthcare provider like a doctor or nurse to provide it. And I was a woman who was raped at gunpoint in Mexico when I was in my 20s on a vacation and returned to California. This is the late 60s, and tried to get an abortion. I didn't know, because I was a teacher, I wasn't a lawyer, that couldn't get one legally. So I had to get a back alley abortion and was left in a pool of my own blood with 106-degree fever in a bathtub in somebody's place that I don't even know where that was. Okay. And then ultimately I had to be taken to the hospital, rushed in an ambulance to, I had 106 fever, packed in ice, and almost died. So having said that, my dedication is to legal, safe, affordable, available abortions. And by politicians saying, no, you can't get an abortion, it's not going to stop women from getting abortions. It's going to stop them from getting legal abortions. Many women cannot afford to go to another safe state like California, waiting for childcare. They don't have the bus fare to even get to another city in the same state. So this is life and death for women in this country, and girls, especially hurt, or young women and rural women and women of color. This is not acceptable way to live, to endanger women's lives. This is a medical decision. It's got to be made between a woman and her doctor. And that's what this is all about. They keep trying to frame it as somehow helping, the fetus to survive, or a fertilized egg should have more rights than an adult woman, or they don't say it, but that's what this is about. I don't buy that. They know women will die as a result of what they're voting for, but they did it, for crass political reasons to appeal to their base. Again, now it's boomeranging against them, because a lot of people, like in Kansas, who might have been pro, it's too extreme for them, who might have been like Republican or anti-choice. This is no exceptions. It's too extreme. And as a result, they voted in a constitutional amendment to make sure that abortion is safe and legal and affordable and available in Kansas. And so this is what we are fighting. We're fighting state by state. This is a war. Mm-hmm. It's a war on women's bodies, and we're fighting back. And this next election, even the midterms, is so significant, because, as President Biden said, if we can get a couple more United States senators, then he would sign a bill to make sure that abortion is legal in every state. That's what we have at stake. And we have to vote, and vote as though our lives depend on it, because they do.
Well, I'll tell you this, Gloria, in closing here, because we're running out of time. If you ever ran for office, which I know you don't want to, but if you ever did, you would certainly have my vote. I'll tell you that. I appreciate, Gloria, what you do. As I always say when you come on this show, in helping so many people, I appreciate what you do. I know you're very well off already, financially. You don't need to do this now, but I know why you're doing it. I'm pretty sure I know why you continue to do it. because you want to help people and you want to do the right thing. And I appreciate you for doing that, because trust me, as you know, there are some attorneys, not the majority, but there are some attorneys that are in it for the wrong reasons. And I know that's never been you. And that's why I've always appreciated you and appreciate your time on this show. And please keep up the good work. And, if any other women out there have been victims, well, I don't need to tell them. They know who you are, and you're very good at what you do. And I appreciate your time as always, Gloria. Thank you so much for coming on again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And all credit goes to my client and her courage. So thank you again for helping her through me to have a voice on your show. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Always a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. That is Gloria Allred. Really a wonderful lady, extremely intelligent, right, Roxann? And very well spoken. I wish she ran for office. She'd do a hell of a better job than Nancy Pelosi. I'll say that.
Not that difficult.
Yeah, even though she might have very similar political opinions to Nancy Pelosi, she would get the message out better. And by the way, Gloria, it's kind of, I don't like to ask somebody how old they are on the air, but I believe she's older than Nancy Pelosi. And yet she listen to her speak.
I don't think so.
Am I wrong on that?
Nancy's like old as dirt.
Is she? I don't know. We'll look that up. Maybe we should. I'll look that up. I'll fact check myself on that one. But anyway, it was a pleasure.
She's 81.
Gloria Allred is 81 years old. Yeah. See, I told you.
How old is Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah, look that one up. I like this. We're getting it in real time here. Yeah, I like this. So Gloria Allred's 81.
Facts.
Not that this is like a contest here. But Nancy Pelosi's is she in her early 80s?
82.
Right there.
Wow.
See, I told you. Right there. They're right there.
But let me just tell you the difference is that Pelosi has been on the hill fighting these battles. So they don't want her by now.
Yeah.
She is worn
there's
out
no
in
doubt.
battles day in,
I think Gloria
day out.
Allred would have been a great candidate for office. That's just my personal opinion. And I have so much respect for her. And I am so glad she is exposing Herschel Walker for who he is.
I agree.
A bad husband, a bad father, and a liar, and a bumbling fool. That's who Herschel Walker is, clearly. All right, Roxann, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, there is new information on Kanye West. We know the anti-Semitic comments that he has made. We know the comments he made about slavery.
George Floyd.
Yeah, we know that, right, of course. But now we're even getting to another level, because now we're learning that apparently he's had a fascination with Adolf Hitler, and he once wanted to name an album after the Nazi leader. You're not going to believe this story. We'll explain when we come back.
Actually, I would.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're right.
Consider the source.
Maybe we
I
shouldn't.
actually do.
Maybe we shouldn't be surprised about this. You're absolutely right. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at Sahara West Urgent Care. It's located right down the street at Sahara and Jones. I'm telling you, this place is awesome. And the reason why I love going there, well, there's a couple reasons. First of all, the main reason, you're in and out of there in like literally 20 minutes. That's number one. Number two, they take most insurances. And if you don't have insurance, $95 payment. How great is that? Give them a call, 702-248-0554, or you can visit them online at SaharaWestUrgentCare.com. All right, she's Roxann McCoy. She's the president of the local Las Vegas NAACP. I certainly can't wait to get her opinions on Kanye West when we come back. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
This announcement is brought to you by the Armed Forces Chamber, Nevada's largest and oldest chamber of commerce, formed to serve armed forces members. Your opinion matters. Your vote counts. You can make history. Vote Patsy Brown as the first female to be public administrator. Patsy Brown is a contract lawyer. Patsy Brown is a federal contractor with 15 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a business owner with 25 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a philanthropist. Patsy Brown is a Rotarian. Patsy Brown is endorsed by attorneys, business owners, community leaders, legislators, pastors, seniors, and veterans. Vote Patsy Brown from October 22nd through November 4th and November 8th. Learn more at votepatsybrown.com. Again, that's votepatsybrown.com. Paid for by friends who vote Patsy Brown.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site X-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Whether you're a corporate executive, on a family vacation, or just passing through, St. George Inn & Suites will meet your specific needs. It's conveniently located near restaurants, shopping, and movie theaters. St. George Inn & Suites offers a variety of room types, 2 fabulous pools and jacuzzis, a fitness center, a free full hot buffet breakfast, and laundry facilities. To make your booking, call 435-673-6661 or book online at stgeorgeinnhotel.com. You need to stop in Southern Utah? Make that stop at St. George Inn & Suites.
Open Road Radio, Monday nights at 6 on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas. Online at kshp.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. You know, I got to say this about my friend Roxann. If you're just joining us, Roxann McCoy, she's the president of the Las Vegas NAACP. So I did a show for several years called The Vegas Take. And how do I say this in a nice way? At times I was very stressed out for obvious reasons that I won't get into on the air. But Roxann was always the person that reached out to me and tried to calm me down and was worried about my health, and rightfully so. I was very stressed out. And when she came in studio, and obviously still today, but she is a breath of fresh air. And I just love the fact that she's able to, speak her opinions and not get as riled up as I do. I wish I had some of that containment, Roxann. Unfortunately, I don't.
Yeah, I think that's what makes you more amazing is that you don't. And so
it's not good for my health sometimes.
Well, not to go all the way to the left that you go, but you keep it now in a healthy, balanced way. I
try.
And you're passionate about what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it comes across. And you, again, have the courage of your conviction. It's like, this is my opinion. This is what I believe based on what I know. And I'm going to stand on it. And I got mad respect for that.
I appreciate that.
I just don't want you having a coronary.
Well, if I had to work with the same people that I had to work with years back, then I might have to do that. But I'm going to New Orleans this weekend, programming note. I'm flying out tomorrow. Doug Basham. You remember Doug? He's a liberal talk show host. He did a show on another station that I'm so glad I'm not a part of anymore. But he's going to be filling in for me tomorrow.
Nice.
And Chris Wynn is going to be filling in for me on Monday as I'm going out there to catch the Raiders, play the Saints. I'm looking forward to that. To talk a little bit about them, another nice guy and somebody really good at what he does in the media. You know, I don't say that very often, but Mark Anderson used to work for the RJ, and then he decided to get a really good job. Now he's officially the Associated Press writer here in Las Vegas for all the national stories. And so he's going to be joining us at the bottom there. I haven't talked to Mark in years, hasn't done my show. So I'm really looking forward to talking to Mark Anderson. All right, let's talk about Kanye West.
Okay.
So we know the anti-Semitic rhetoric, which, by the way, I wasn't surprised that he put out there, death con to Jews. And he once said that he thought slavery was a choice. If you remember the interview he did with TMZ, what an embarrassment. Can I ask you this before we get to this latest news about Adolf Hitler? And I have an apology for Howard Stern. I'll explain in a minute. What did you make of him and Candace Owens, who was another buffoon? What did you make of them wearing White Lives Matter shirts? What was your reaction to that?
Brian, unlike you, I look at it through a slightly different lens. And my lens just said that, Kanye's ignorant and Kanye needs some attention and he wants to stir up conversation about him. And what better way to do that than the number one attack, low key, offhanded Black Lives Matter by him being a Black man and Candace Owens being a Black woman saying White Lives Matter. He got exactly what he was looking for. So I didn't really think much about him because it wasn't really worthy of it, in my opinion.
Yeah. What do you make of Candace Owens?
Not much.
I think she just does everything just to get attention and to sell books and make appearances. I don't think she believes some of the things that she says. And I just think it's so bad for America, people like her. It's bad for the Black community.
I would disagree with you. It's not bad for the Black community.
You don't think?
Because
when she wears a White Lives Matter shirt as a Black woman?
As a Black woman, we consider the source. She's assimilated in order to rise in ranks. And in our community, she's irrelevant. In the white community that supports her and who she has assimilated and drank all the Kool-Aid, then she's a mouthpiece for them. And then she gets to be that token Black person that they get to say, oh, look at what she says. She doesn't agree with what the other Black people say.
In a way, it's like Herschel Walker to that point, right?
Herschel, Kanye, they're all in that same boat.
Right.
So for us Black people, it's like, oh, all right, okay, they got another idiot to drink their Kool-Aid. So what do we care? We're not losing anything.
That's well put. I understand what you're saying. By the way, if you want to give us a call, if you have a question for Roxann or a comment, you're welcome to do so. I never give out that number enough. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. And again, if you want to be a part of the conversation, now would be the time. Give us a call. 702-221-7283. So the latest on Kanye West, if you have, and as you've learned and as we've learned, some of those sponsors are now gone. I believe it was Adidas. Kanye made some comments last week saying Adidas is never going to leave me. I'm paraphrasing here.
Yes.
I can say whatever I want and make anti-Semitic remarks. Well, guess what? They did among now, not to say it's going to really hurt him that much in the pocketbook. The guy's extremely loaded, but he's losing sponsorships. And I can't imagine he's happy about that. So listen to this story that just came out this morning, and it's wild, but maybe not surprising. So several people that were once very close to the artist, formerly known as Kanye West, and I guess now he's called Ye. They're telling CNN that he has long been fascinated by Adolf Hitler and once wanted to name an album after the Nazi leader. A business executive who worked with Kanye, who now goes by Ye, told CNN that the artist created a hostile work environment in part through his obsession with Adolf Hitler, said that he would praise Hitler by saying how incredible it was that he was able to accumulate so much power, and would talk about all the great things he and the Nazi party achieved for the German people. The executive left his position, reached a settlement with West and some of his companies over workplace complaints, including harassment. The former executive asked not to be named due to confidentiality agreement, but this is not somebody that just randomly doesn't like Kanye West. This is a guy that worked with him for a very long time, over 10 years. The individual also stated that people in West's inner circle were fully aware of his interest in Adolf Hitler. 4 sources. West had originally suggested the title Hitler for his 2018 album that eventually was released as Ye. They didn't want to be named as well. Universal Music Group owner of Def Jam, which used to distribute West music, said in a statement on Tuesday that the company's relationship with his Good Music label ended last year. And I can go on and on. There are more people that have made statements that have been close to Kanye about this. I have an apology to make, and that's to somebody that I got into radio, the reason why I got into radio, and that's Howard Stern. So last week, Howard Stern basically called Kanye West Hitler. And I went on the air and I said, listen, as much as we disagree with the anti-Semitism, we shouldn't be making comparisons to Kanye West and Adolf Hitler. Let me tell you something, Mr. Howard Stern. I usually agree with him 99% of the time. I thought this was the 1%. I was wrong. While Kanye West has not killed 6 or 7 million Jews, he hasn't killed anybody. His hateful rhetoric can lead to that.
It hurts a lot of people. It hurts just as many.
I was wrong. I don't mind anybody comparing Kanye West to Adolf Hitler as an evil, murderous dictator, because what Kanye West is doing is he's standing behind Adolf Hitler. And I owe an apology to Howard Stern. Not that he cares, but anyway, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, for a long time, it's been noted that Kanye has some mental challenges, and I truly believe that. I think that he is not getting the help that he needs, and he's just coming unhinged all the way. And so for me, I'm not surprised that when you said that there's some more stuff about Ye, as he likes to call himself, I'm not surprised about it at all, because just for some time, even while he was married to Kim, she was very disturbed about his behaviors as to why she left that relationship, and he seems to have just continued to spiral downhill without any care whatsoever. So I hope that those that say they love him and care about him gets him some true help. But
I hope so too.
They talk about people like that being geniuses on one hand and have mental issues on the other. And he's just a person with mental illness with a whole lot of money.
Interesting that somebody just called up and they said their name is White Lives Matter. And I would be happy to put them on the air and destroy them, but that's the definition of a coward. And then they hang up the phone. So that's what these people do. They'll call up or they'll call me a liar. And then I'll say, okay, can you name me one thing that I've ever lied about? And click, hang up the phone. They'll call up with their racism and they'll say their White Lives Matter as a cheap shot to not just you, to me, but then they won't go on the air. That's a coward. Anyway, the number to call if you're not a coward.
That's absolutely correct.
The number to call if you're not a coward, 702-221-7283. I don't give out the number so that you can harass our producer here, Numchuck, poor Numchuck. I give out the number so that you can actually go on the air. If you don't want to go on the air, then don't call in. Again, that number to call, 702-221-7283.
Most of the time, they don't have the intelligence to debate their position that they have. So if I lack that, then I'm just going to throw out something that I've heard, and then I'm going to run, like throwing a rock and hide behind the tree.
Isn't it interesting? Because I do insult people all the time, but I have things that back up my opinions on certain people, and I will debate anybody. I don't care if you're James Carville or Tucker Carlson. I don't care. I'll debate anybody. It doesn't mean I'm always going to be right, but I'm willing to stand by my beliefs and my opinions. And people that call people names, or they lose an argument and then they call somebody a name. Okay, well, why do you call yourself White Lives Matter? Well, why would you do that? Do you not agree that I ask people this question all the time when it comes to race. I say, in America, if you don't think there's systemic racism, let me ask you this question. I have these conversations with people all the time. Would you rather be a black man in America or a white man in America? Now, I can answer that question honestly. And I wish I didn't give you this answer. I wish I could give you the answer. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to be honest. I'd rather be white. Because in America, you are still, as a whole, treated differently, in my personal opinion, when it comes to law enforcement, when it comes to the economy and job force, right? I mean, that's what I ask you.
It gives you privilege. Absolutely, it does.
So when somebody calls you a race baiter, and we talked about this, or if somebody, you're racist towards white people, how do you respond to that?
You know how I respond, Brian. I don't really give them much credibility because if they feel like I'm supposed to be silent about issues that are plaguing this community, this country, and it has been for centuries, and we're not going to discuss it, we're never going to move. Nothing's ever going to change. And if we can't have a conversation about the atrocities that have taken place, we're never going to learn from it or grow from it. And so if that's their opinion, then I most of the time understand the fact that they lack intelligence to really be able to articulate what's really taken place and what part they're playing in making it better. So I'm okay with them.
Roxann, every single time I have a conversation, I shouldn't say every time, but a lot of the times I talk with a Republican about January 6th and the carnage and the 140 officers that were injured and people died that day. Almost every time they want to bring up Black Lives Matter protests and the violence. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know I have my thoughts on it, but when somebody brings that up, what do you say to them?
Well, if I choose to engage you in conversation on that, I would say to you is that really there is no comparison between the two, first and foremost, because number one, the police made sure they were there to keep those things under control. Number one. And the majority of the violence that took place during that time was from white people coming in and being crap starters, just coming in and being agitators that came in and started those things, but nobody wants to talk about that. So most of the time when people come at you and saying there is no different, when a protest went bad and Black people behave badly and they deserve to be held accountable. And I'm not going to say they deserve to be, they are held accountable for their actions. When white people behave badly, they should be held accountable for their actions as well.
I agree.
There's a difference between the two. Some are held accountable and others are made excuse for, and they're not.
And by the way, while some of those white people, a decent amount of them are in jail right now for January 6th, many of the politicians, including like Jim Marchant, those politicians running for office here, are calling them alleged criminals and they want them out of jail.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to all the Black people that are behind bars right now, some of them that should not be behind bars, I never hear people like Jim Marchant talking about them.
Because
right?
they're criminals.
Right,
in their
right.
eyes,
The Black people are criminals. What did you make of, I think I'm trying to remember his name. There was a Trump rally. Tubman, was that his name? I'm trying to remember the politician's name, and forgive me, I'm forgetful these days. But he made an incendiary statement about basically what it was about. What it was about affirmative action, and he painted the picture that all the criminals are Black people. And he's up there on a stage during a Trump rally, and they all cheered. They all cheered. And there was no accountability for this man who made these statements. And
you're surprised?
I guess I shouldn't be,
I
but
mean,
it still bothers me. I shouldn't be surprised, I guess. But this is what we get.
Unfortunately, this is the America in which we live in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? We continue to try to raise awareness.
Yeah.
And continue to bring about change, which is really the only thing that we have in which we can work with.
I had a conversation. I have these conversations off the air all the time with a guy who is a professional PGA Tour caddy. He's around elitist all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're having a conversation. And obviously, you know my thoughts on systemic racism.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it exists. He says it doesn't. And I said, okay, answer me this question. As a whole, do you think law enforcement treat Black people the same as white people? He admitted no. Do you agree that there's racism out there? Yes. I said, okay. So where is your argument then? Well, if you're Black, you can make it in society just as easily if you work hard as if you're white. I said, then why is it that Black people are not paid the same amount of money doing the same job as a white person? Why is that? Doesn't have a response, but he would not be willing to admit, he wasn't willing to admit to me that systemic racism exists in society. What do you say to people like that?
Well, but when they have to admit it, that means that they have to say, this is wrong. And what am I doing to make it better? And most of the time people don't want to do that work. They want to just say that, no, everything is equal. Everything's the same. And therefore you have no accountability or responsibility. But if I have to acknowledge that, you know what, there is a problem, and then I'm choosing to do nothing about it, what does that say about you? And so it's more easy to deny it.
You've represented, I shouldn't say represented legally, but you've helped a lot of people that have that needed help legally. Maybe it was filing a lawsuit. Maybe it was helping a family in every which way. Can you talk to me a little bit about the types of things that you do with the NAACP really on a daily basis, helping minorities and helping people? I don't think people really truly understand what the NAACP, at least some people don't, or maybe they don't want to know, the help that what you do on a daily basis to help people.
Well, it's a multitude of things, really. Like, people think that it's all about fighting all the time, and which sometimes that is a big part of it, but it's really just trying to be a voice for the voiceless. Is trying to right the wrongs that take place against people of color, and those people could be LGBTQ plus, they could be women, they could be Native Americans. There are a plethora of people that come through that have been disenfranchised in one form or another, be it through police brutality, be it through education or healthcare or anything else. You know, those people are out there,
Yeah.
and they have no outlet for somebody to stand up for them. I work with our police department all the time to talk about our policies and procedures and help them see things through the lens of other people aside from themselves. And you know what? It's an educational experience for us all. And how do we come together collectively to make things better so that we're all treated equally?
Sure. All right. The number to call is 702-221-7283. The man who called in yesterday, who called you a race baiter, would you like to speak to him?
JD, bring him on.
Okay. JD is on the line right now. Hello, JD. Go ahead. You're on with Roxann.
Hey, JD, I heard you miss me.
Yeah, I did. He misrepresented me again. I'm jumping here into the lion's den again. We were having a conversation where we were talking about things people say. I called him a race baiter. I called you a race baiter. He called me different things. We were talking about, Brian, how people throw out, not euphemisms, but how people throw out silly statements. So you misrepresented me, Brian.
Did you not call Roxann McCoy a race baiter? How did I, did you not do that?
Well, I just explained how it came about.
Okay. Do you believe Roxann McCoy's a race baiter? Yes or no?
No.
Then why would you say that then?
Because we were throwing back and forth.
Everything I said about you, I believe 100%, and I back, sir. There's not one thing I said to you in our brief conversation that I don't agree with. Why would you say something that you don't believe? Wouldn't that somebody would call somebody a coward when you call somebody something and then you have a chance to address it with them?
If I was a coward, I wouldn't be calling you.
Okay, well, you're very brave, JD, for calling in. You're a hero. You're a great American. What
I find unbelievably disturbing is how you are talking about Candace Owen, who is always tried to do good for Black people by pointing out some of the things that are done to Black people by the Democrat Party.
Well, let's speak to someone who actually is Black, and let's see if they agree with you on that. Roxann, do you think?
Well, obviously she doesn't. I know that.
Okay. Well, let's give her the opportunity to respond to your statement as a white man that you think Candace Owen does so many wonderful things for the Black community. Go ahead, Candace. Or go ahead, Candace. Did I call you Candace? Roxann, I'm sorry.
And I'm taking extreme offense to that, for the record. But no, you know what, JD? Candace is not just pointing, she's only pointing out things that she's saying the Democrats are doing to Black people. But in fairness, if she's going to do that and she's really representing Black people, then she's going to point out the things that Republicans are doing, because it's not one-sided. And
I'm sure she has. And I can't be specific, but I've heard her many times on TV. I've heard her in front of congressional in the House of Congress appearing in front of the Congress people. And I've heard her go, not one way. When something is wrong, she calls it out the other way also.
I see. All right. Can I ask?
Go ahead.
Did she ever go after Donald Trump for defending the Confederate flag?
No.
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay, fair enough. Did she ever call out and praise the good people within the Black Lives Matter movement? I'm talking about the tens of millions of people that were not violent, that wanted equality. Did she ever talk about them?
I would think she has.
She has not. All she does is call out the violence. So you're wrong on that.
You have heard every statement that she has ever made.
You find me one. I can give you 100 statements or 1,000 statements.
Brian, you just love to exaggerate the crap out of everything.
You didn't even let me finish my sentence.
It's useless trying to have a conversation with you. Goodbye.
Oh, it's useless. Okay, well, you're a coward, JD. That's what you are, because you called Roxann a race baiter, and then when you have an opportunity to address it with her face to face, at least over the phone, then all of a sudden you back out of it. Oh, I didn't mean it. JD, you're a coward. That is what you are. I don't know what else to say about him. If I call somebody something, right? You could be, it could be a coward or a right-wing, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. I stand by my statements, and I'm not going to back it out, and a guy like that will call you a name. I think I know why he calls you that. I think it has something to do with the color of your skin. That's just my personal opinion, and knowing some of the things that this caller stands for, which is right-wing buffoonery, white supremacy, you name it. Isn't that interesting, though? Because isn't that kind of where we are, where somebody will say something about somebody, and then when they have a chance to address it with them, in this case, a phone call, He backs off it.
Mhm.
So isn't that the definition of what a coward is?
But it's unfortunate that too many white people think that Candace Owens is supporting Black people.
Yeah.
And it's really sad because really she is not supporting Black people. She's supporting the white narrative that they have
Yeah.
about Black people is what she's doing. And so as a Black woman, I don't want a Candace Owens speaking for me.
Yeah.
I don't want her speaking for my community.
Right.
I want her to just speak
Yeah.
for herself because she is not in support. She is regurgitating
Yeah.
the negative stereotypes that white people have, and not all white people, but the negative white people that are racist have
Yeah.
about Black people.
And by the way, JD didn't let me finish the sentence. Here's what I was trying to say. He's not smart enough to have a conversation with me, but what I was trying to say was, find me one statement that Candace Owens made praising the White Lives Matter protesters, the tens of millions of them that did not commit any crimes.
The
Find
Black
me,
Lives Matter.
right. I'm sorry, Black Lives Matter. Did I say White Lives Matter?
Yeah, you
I'm
did.
sorry, geez. Black Lives Matter.
That would be the insurrection.
Yeah, exactly. Find me one statement that Candace Owens has made praising the Black Lives Matter protesters that were not violent. You couldn't find me one. But almost every interview she does, she goes after Black Lives Matter protesters and calls them Marxist, and they're all violent, and she makes generalizations. But JD doesn't want to hear that. He doesn't want to hear that. The fact that the people like you, by the way, are the people that are doing wonderful things for the Black community, not Candace Owens. Last I checked, you're not selling a book.
No.
You're not making TV appearances so you can make money. That's what Candace Owens does every day. Last I checked, you're doing things voluntary. Voluntary. And for people like JD who don't understand what that means, it means you're not making any money doing what you're doing. You have the goodness of your heart to help people. I don't think there's anything that Candace Owens does today, and she's doing it out of the goodness of her heart. Candace Owens does things for Candace Owens. The great Joe Walsh, who comes on this show all the time, that's what he said. Candace Owens does things for Candace Owens.
Yes, that's
Roxann,
exactly
you're
right.
not doing things for Roxann. You're doing things for your family, for your friends, and for your community. And that's why I have the utmost respect for you. You are like literally on the opposite end of the spectrum when it comparisons to Candace Owens. There is no comparison. I mean, you have the same color skin. That's about it, right?
That's where it begins and ends.
That's about it. Roxann, I want to give you the opportunity before you get out of here. And I thank you so much for being here as always. I always love having you in. It's good to see you.
I know. I'm disappointed I didn't get to debate with anybody today. Did we scare everybody off?
You know what it is?
happened?
I'll be honest with you. Same thing when I was doing the Vegas take. People were afraid to debate you. They were afraid. I could take 3 straight hours of phone calls, but there were a few people that would call in and debate you, but not many. JD's a perfect example of that. He didn't want to call in to debate you. He wanted to call in and say, I misrepresented something I said when I have the direct quote. He called you a race baiter. And then, I didn't mean it. We were insulting. No, let me be very clear.
You did.
Not to go back to this, but I called JD a right-wing buffoon. I stand by that comment. I stand by everything I've said about him. And I stand by my comments and things that I make. Sometimes people are cowards and they back off on things, but I'm just not one of those people. I want to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about the NAACP. I want to give you the opportunity to talk about the good things you do and how people can get involved and donate and help.
Well, here we go. I have some amazing projects that we are working on. We have a Reading with the Cop series where we have some of our police officers in the Bolden Area Command that go to predominantly Black schools and read to the students there. And the purpose of that is developing a relationship between law enforcement and the Black community. And when we start normalizing those interactions versus our police, our children, our Black children, seeing our police officers only in the line of duty when they're arresting somebody that they love, and they get this negative image about them, and the police officers only seeing Black people when they're in the line of duty to arrest them. We start normalizing that and start seeing the Black kids just as that, as kids, and the kids seeing the police officers just as men and women in uniform. You start normalizing that relationship. Then when we come into an encounter and the officer is asking a youth, to stop or let me see your ID or something like that, that youth is more inclined to, to comply, and vice versa with the officer.
Right.
He's not going to be so aggressive to unlatch his holster to get himself ready to take out his weapon, that we see each other as human beings. And so if anybody wants to get involved, they can donate books to this particular program. The officers come in through grades 1 through 5, read to the youth there, and each student gets to get a book. So if they're going to donate enough book for each child. So we promote literacy at the same time and help build those youth's libraries where they wouldn't ordinarily have an opportunity to get books.
I love it. Please continue doing the wonderful work that you do. I appreciate what you do and the people, the lives that you impact in this community, and the good work that the NAACP does. And it's great to see you. I appreciate you coming in, and hopefully we can do this again soon. I know how busy you are, and I appreciate you coming in and taking time out of your day. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Brian. I missed you guys here. Thank you for having me back.
Thank you for being here. It's a pleasure. All right, that's Roxann McCoy, everybody. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the new Associated Press reporter and journalist right here in Las Vegas, longtime sports writer, Mark Anderson, will be joining us next. Take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey, everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone, and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
This announcement is brought to you by the Armed Forces Chamber, Nevada's largest and oldest chamber of commerce, formed to serve armed forces members. Your opinion matters. Your vote counts. You can make history. Vote Patsy Brown as the first female to be public administrator. Patsy Brown is a contract lawyer. Patsy Brown is a federal contractor with 15 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a business owner with 25 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a philanthropist. Patsy Brown is a Rotarian. Patsy Brown is endorsed by attorneys, business owners, community leaders, legislators, pastors, seniors, and veterans. Vote Patsy Brown from October 22nd through November 4th and November 8th. Learn more at votepatsybrown.com. Again, that's votepatsybrown.com. Paid for by friends who vote Patsy Brown.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
STN Sports is the only sports betting app you need this season. STN Sports has it all. In-play betting, mobile parlay cards, the Play Plus card to fund and withdraw from anywhere in Nevada, and the latest lines on every game. STN Sports even lets you earn rewards on every bet. Safe and easy betting from your phone or tablet. Go to stationcasinosports.com or sign up at any Station Casino, Fiesta Wildfire, or the El Cortez. Details at the sportsbooks.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
All right, welcome back. It's Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. My thanks to Roxann McCoy for coming here. Always love having her in studio. The president of the NAACP Las Vegas. I want to tell you guys about my favorite gaming bar in town. It's Jackson's Bar and Grill. In November, Sundays, you get $50 in free play after earning 200 points. Some restrictions apply. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, if you'd like wine, they're giving away a wine. They have a wine giveaway. Earn 200 points, get a mystery bottle of wine to take home. And every VGK game, all TVs and sound and pass the puck, win up to $100 in free play per period just for playing my favorite gaming bar in town. I love it. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Check them out. Tell them I sent you. So, I love talking to great journalists. They could be political reporters. They could be sports reporters. I always appreciate people that are so good at their craft. And the guy on the line with us right now is no exception. Been a long time since I had him on the show. And I'm so happy for Mark Anderson because, of course, formerly of the RJ, did a great job covering all the local sports here in Las Vegas. Now he is the official Associated Press reporter here, and I couldn't be more happy for him. Mark Anderson joining us right on the line. Mark, let me first say congratulations. Well-deserved, and you must be pretty excited.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I am. It's really is a dream job, and I get to stay in Las Vegas, which is great, and be heavy part of the Raiders coverage and Golden Knights coverage and all the major events that come here. So yeah, I'm thrilled to get started.
Do you miss that a lot, Mark? Because I haven't seen you obviously at Knights games or UNLV games, and you were the beat writer, of course, and you did such a great job for UNLV basketball and UNLV football. Now you're going to be out at games again. I know how big of a sports fan at heart you are, like I am. That must be a lot of fun to know that you're going to be at all these games and be able to cover these teams. You must be excited about that.
I am. That's probably what I'm looking forward to the most is just being back out there again. I'd see occasionally. I saw you, I think, with the Las Vegas Bowl was or a Pac-12 championship, one of the two.
Yep.
And it was. I love that. I love being around my fellow colleagues here in town, and I did miss it. I missed it a lot. So it's going to be great to see everyone again. Be great to be at these events, and we just stadium. If the Raiders are, if they can get to 500 and kind of get going, then that place is really going to be rocking. And of course, the Golden Knights are off to a great start. So the T-Mobile is already pretty electric. So it's going to be great to be in the atmosphere of both those places.
Phenomenal start for the Knights. Yeah, let's talk about the local angle with these teams. I guess I'll start with the Raiders, right? Obviously, they're off to an extremely disappointing start to the year, behind the 8 ball. What do you make of where the Raiders are at right now with the talent that they have, and what grade would you give Josh McDaniels?
Yeah, the one thing that puzzled me that he said in preseason, he said that this team needs to learn how to win. And that was the one thing they did really well last season. They pulled out so many close games, and I thought that's a really odd statement to make. So, and then they lost early, close games early on. Maybe they figured something out against the Texans, and we'll see. I mean, the schedule lightens, and they do go on the road to New Orleans and Jacksonville, and I wouldn't say either's an easy game by any means. So they're going to be tested both places, and if they can come out of there with 2 victories, which they could do, then that gets their season back on track. As far as this grade right now, it's hard to say. There's some things he's done that I like, but I think it's a little early. hate to bail on you, but maybe incomplete at this point.
Do you feel, though, Mark, that when he says we need to learn how to win, in a sense, that might be a little bit of a cop-out? Because you make a really good point. They won a lot of close games last year that you could have flipped a coin, could have gone. I mean, you think about the Miami Dolphins game and the Baltimore Ravens game, 2 games that I was at, and I'll be at the Saints game this week, and I'm going out there to New Orleans. I mean, I feel like it's a little bit of a cop-out to say, well, we got to learn how to win. A lot of these guys already know how to win.
Yeah, and I just thought, there were a number of things he could have said, and that was something that just struck me as odd. And if this was a team coming off of 6 they did play 17 last season, 6-11 season or something like that, where they lost 3 or 4 games at the wire, I could say, all right, well, that makes perfect sense. But they pulled some games out of their rear ends they had no business winning, and and did it. And won a lot of games when it looked like their season was over. I mean, that was just a phenomenal stretch. And, and I know Derek Carr gets a lot of grief, but I gave him so much credit for leading the Raiders during that stretch, because I thought they were done. And for them to make the playoffs last season was pretty remarkable. So
I agree.
But I'm waiting to see more from Josh McDaniels. I do think he can get it done. I don't hold the Denver thing against him just because that was a long time ago. I don't think he's the same person. I think he grew a lot since then. So we'll see. I'm more curious about where they are when they come back to town to play the Colts, and how they do in these 2 road trips. They'll tell me a lot about where the season's going. I
agree. There's still a lot more season to be played, but obviously, at least in my opinion, in year 1 with the talent that he has, if you don't make the playoffs, that's not a successful season. But there's a lot of games to be played. We all know how difficult the AFC is, so we'll see how it goes. All right, let's move on. You mentioned VGK. This is a very good positive, Mark. I'm sure you would agree. I believe this head coach is doing a wonderful job. I think they hired the right guy. While I miss Gallant, I think DeBoer was the right decision to let him go. I see these guys out there on the ice. They seem to be having fun again. They're winning hockey games. The chemistry seems to be a lot better than it was last year. And it just seems like this guy just allows his players to do what they do best and to put them in positions to succeed. I think this Vegas Golden Knights team at this point, so early in the season, is at a much better place than I thought they would be at. And I think you got to give a lot of credit to the coaching staff. What do you say?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not sure I saw them getting off to this kind of start, especially when you're talking about 2 goalies, which, as well as Logan Thompson played last season, you still really didn't know how he'd do with a full season. And Aiden Hill's come in and done a great job. But I tell you what's been even more impressive is the defense. And, I know that the lot's been made about him going with his own defense, and you've seen it. You've seen other teams not able to really get the puck in the middle and get quality shots. They're shooting from the sides, and that's allowing both goalies to make much more easy saves. So I think to me, that's the biggest key, that and them being healthy. The other thing, I know that a lot of people don't want to hear about the injuries from last season. They said, well, that's just an excuse. There's 2 things. It wasn't an excuse. There was a reason. That was a very legitimate reason why that team didn't make the playoffs last season. They were just banged up. They're not banged up this season so far. And so you're seeing the difference. Now you never know. I mean, Mark Stone could go down at some point, or Marcia Show or someone like that. And here you go again. But right now, I think that's a really big key. But I do think the defense is something that really stands out. And if they can keep playing that kind of defense all season, they should have it be in almost every game.
What do you make of, I agree with everything you said, by the way. What do you make of Phil Kessel and this streak? Cal Ripken Jr. asked, I don't think we'll ever see this again in our lifetime. How do you make it, forget about even being injured on the ice. What about just getting sick or getting the flu? I mean, I don't even know how. I mean, I asked him about this in the locker room, and he's like, yeah, a lot of luck. I agree with him. There's some luck involved, but I think it also goes to show you how tough Kessel has been over the course of his career, because he hasn't been 100% in a lot of games he's played. That's just the nature of how physical hockey is. What do you make of this streak? I mean, it's really historic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and he's not wrong. Luck is a major part of it. I mean, you look look at COVID. I mean, look how many hockey players had to miss games because of COVID, and he didn't have to do that. I mean, just that alone is almost remarkable. So, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't take much to get hurt playing hockey. Yeah. In guys who are really tough and can play long, can play many consecutive games, those guys get hurt too, or they do get sick, like you say, and for him to somehow make it all these years and be in the lineup game after game after game. I mean, I don't think, I think obviously hockey fans get it. I'm not so sure how much the casual thing gets it, because remember Cal Ripken went through the streak. I mean, that was such big news, and everyone seems to know about that. And maybe that just speaks to where the state of the NHL is compared to the other three major sports. The average fan knows it. Okay, it sounds good, but they don't really understand. But man, if you follow the sport, I mean, you know how tough that is. And to me, as much as I like Ripken Street, I think this is more impressive.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you, and I'm really excited for this Vegas Golden Knights team. I said there's no way they can compete for a Stanley Cup this year. While I'm not sure they're at that point yet, I'm also going to say that there is a chance that they can get to a point at the end of the year. Maybe they can. If Logan Thompson keeps playing the way he's playing and their backup keeps playing and guys remain healthy. You mentioned that, seeing Mark Stone out there healthy, having fun again is a nice sight to see. If this team remains healthy, I think they're going to continue to improve. They have a good coaching staff, and I think they might have the personnel to do it. I say might because I'm still not sure if Logan Thompson is that guy. I'm not sure if he can get it done in the playoffs, but hey, sky's the limit. We'll have to wait and see what happens. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Mark Anderson, now a new reporter for the Associated Press, just got the gig there. So he's going to be covering all what is sports in Las Vegas. All right, let's move on to UNLV football, Mark. For years, you covered the UNLV football team. Obviously this football team got off to a wonderful start, but now they're in a situation with 4 games left where they have to win 2 after going 4-1, starting the year 4-1. Now they have to win 2 of the next 4 to make it to a bowl game. What do you make of the ups and downs of this year?
Yeah, it shows you what a difference they are without Doug Brumfield. He just, they're just not the same offense with him on the sideline. I know Cameron Field was Mountain West Freshman of the Year last year, but it's just a big drop off from Brumfield to Friel, and they need him back in the lineup. It sounds like he's probably going to be close to returning. They can get him back to these final 4 games. I really like their chances of making a bowl game, especially if they also get Aiden Robbins back as well. If they get those 2 guys back, my money would be on them making a bowl game. It's definitely, the schedule is definitely easier now. And these are teams, they can win all 4 games.
They could.
And so I don't think they will, but I think they can. So the opportunity is there.
Yeah.
And if Brumfield's back healthy, I do like their chances.
Got to beat Hawaii. Hawaii's a bad football team. I understand that game is on the road and it's never easy. You have to win that game. Certainly Fresno State is a winnable game. Fresno just had a nice win at home against San Jose State a few weeks ago. So but certainly UNLV can win that game. What would you think, Mark? Or I guess what would you say? Because I seem to think, and I could be wrong, that it could come down to the Nevada-Reno game, which would be crazy, right? And if Reno comes in here and they have an opportunity to because their season's over, they're not making a bowl game. They're not as good as they've been in years past. But imagine the kind of the extra oomph they'll have in their step if they could come in here to UNLV and be the team that is the team that disallows them from being in a bowl game. I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, that could happen, right?
It could, and there would be no pressure on Wolfpack. All the pressure would be on UNLV in that game,
right?
And if Nevada makes a couple of early plays, gets off to like a touchdown lead or 10-point lead early, man, you could feel the tension on the UNLV side at that point. Yeah. And so I think if it comes down to that game, it's imperative the Rebels get off to a quick start and take any, because I think if they're the team that gets off to the quick start, then I think it switches, and then the Wolfpack, which has been down all season, I think they start to hang their heads, and then the game's probably over. So I think that start's going to tell you a lot. And if UNLV gets off to a 4 start, doesn't mean they don't come back and win the game. But man, all the pressure switches to that sideline, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if that's what it was. And there's no question Nevada wants to come in here and ruin any postseason plans for the Rebels.
So, Mark, as you know, I don't pull any punches. I'm tough on coaches if I don't think they're getting the job done. I liked Bobby Hauck, right? I mean, you covered Bobby Hauck. I liked talking with him. I thought he was a good guy. He got them to their last bowl game when of course, Caleb Herring was the quarterback. But if you recall, The following year, he did not have a good year, and he got fired. So there's a lot of people. I shouldn't say there's a lot of people in town, Mark, but there are some people in town that are already saying Arroyo is a god, and look at what he's done with this team, and look at the improvements. 0 wins to 2 wins. Now they got 4 wins, and they can make a bowl game. I'm not ready to go there yet. Now, if he makes a bowl game this year, and he has a good year next year, even if he doesn't make a bowl game next year, let's just say he wins 5 games next year, he deserves credit. And he deserves credit now, quite frankly, for getting them to where they are right now, a chance to make a bowl game. That's a big achievement for UNLV. I'm not going to, I'm not going to say anything less than that. But with that being said, Mark, do you think it's unfair for me to say, listen, even if he makes a bowl game this year, that's a great year. But look at Bobby Houck. That's a perfect example. You got to back it up with another good year. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, no, it can't be just a one and done. But if he makes a bowl game this season, who knows if he's going to be around anyway?
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, if you're Marcus Arroyo, now if they go 6-6, I don't know that a Pac-12 is necessarily going to be coming for him. But if he goes 7-5, or maybe say he finishes strong, goes 8-4, makes a bowl game, I can see a Power 5 team being interested in him. And if that's the case, there's no question he's going to jump. But if he's 6-6, and he comes back for another year, yeah, I agree. He's got to build on it, and that was the thing with Houck, is he not only didn't build on that one bowl year, but they regressed to what they were before, a 2-win team, and they were, I think, 2-win teams every year under him, except for the bowl year. And and that bowl year is only because Caleb Herring bailed them out. That was really the only reason. Their season was headed for disaster early on, and Herring came off the bench and bailed them out, and they rode him from there. And so, yeah, and I like Bobby a lot, and he's doing great in Montana. And, and I thought they should have kept Tony Sanchez at least another year, frankly. I just thought it was unfair that Tony, who got the Fertitta building built, didn't have a chance to really recruit to it, didn't have a chance to recruit to Allegiant Stadium. And I would have liked to have seen what he could have done with at least one recruiting class who we'd have brought in here. And Tony had him on the doorstep too. They're winning 4 or 5 games, and and so I think Arroyo kind of took him backward, and maybe he felt he had to rebuild the way he wanted to. But Tony wasn't that far away.
Mark, I agree with you. And by the way, I like Tony Sanchez. We still text each other now and then. He's a great guy. You're right about the Fertitta complex. I was wrong. When they let him go, I said to myself, well, you know what? He just didn't get it done here. But, I thought about that and Arroyo and that hire, and you're absolutely right. I was wrong. I agree with you 100%. They probably should have kept him one more year, give him an opportunity to maybe recruit some more talent, and who knows what could have happened. But you're right, the program was set back. I want to ask you a little quickly here. We got a couple more minutes left. UNLV basketball, you know how much I respect Lon Kruger, and I know you do as well. I love Kevin. He's a great guy. What did you make of the basketball season last year? And, what do you think it's hard to have expectations if you haven't even seen the team yet, but what do you think expectations to be with UNLV basketball this year?
Yeah, I thought last season was kind of overblown, frankly. I remember Otzelberger's first season. It was very similar, really strong finish to the end of the season. In fact, Otzelberger's was even better. They went to San Diego State and beat, I think they were number 2 at the time or 4 at the time, or whatever it was, beat the Aztecs on the road and took all this momentum into the Mountain West tournaments, except their point guard got hurt in the final regular season game and screwed them up. So it reminded me of that. And so that's why I was like, okay, let's not get too excited here. It's not that much different from what Otzelberger accomplished. Yep. And I look at this year's team, and I know what Kevin Kruger's trying to do. He's trying to build it with defense. It's almost a San Diego State model defense and try to get length and all that. I just don't know that. And this was my question about last season's team. I just don't know where the scoring is going to come from.
Exactly.
They're picked, 6th, I think, in the Mountain West. That's, you can't be. Mountain West is not the ACC. No. It's just not there. I don't know. Maybe. And I'm not against. I think Kevin Cruz is a great guy. I mean, he's as good a guy as you'll deal with. So I'm certainly not pulling against him. I'm just not seeing the path though. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's right. Maybe you just go all defense and you just give your chance to. That keeps you in every game. You kind of ugly it up a little bit, and you just try to win it that way. And maybe that he sees that as really the only path out. I don't know.
Well,
and he could be right. But I don't know. Right now, I just don't see a lot of hope.
Lon Kruger was able to do it when the conference was 10 times better. I remember the years where it was BYU and San Diego State, Jimmer Fredette, Kawhi Leonard. There were so many years in the Mountain West where the league was so much better. The league is really bad right now. And I agree with you. I asked Kevin that question a few weeks ago when he came on the show. Where's the offense going to come from? You lost Hamilton, you lost Williams, your two top scorers, and professional talent. I'm not going to say NBA talent, but professional talent that you lost. I think that's a huge issue. You're the defense. You're putting a lot of pressure on the defense. You need the game probably in the 50s and 60s to win. But hey, we'll see what happens, Mark. In closing, I just want to say, always loved your work. You're very good at what you do. I was very happy for you as soon as I heard you got the job at the AP. You certainly deserve it. I've always appreciated you doing this show, and I look forward to having you on again soon. When is your first assignment, by the way?
That's to be determined. I'm meeting with my new editor on Monday and Tuesday, and we're going to sort of plan things out for there. My first game, I expect, will be I think it's the 13th against the Colts.
Nice.
That's what it sounds like right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's baseball gentlemen managers meetings are in town. I believe that week though, so I think I'm going to be part of that. So, yeah. So there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to be covering.
Can't wait. You're always fair. You always write your articles, and listen, I don't say that about a lot of people in this town. Sometimes they drink the Kool-Aid. You're not one of those guys. You're very fair and good at what you do. Mark Anderson, happy for you, my friend, and I appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to seeing you at the Colts game.
Yeah, same here. And thanks for having me on. I appreciate all the kind words.
Thanks, Mark. Always appreciate you. That's Mark Anderson from the Associated Press now, happy to say, and good journalist. He's good at what he does. And, I'm honest. I wouldn't say that about some other people that cover sports in this town. So those of you might be wondering, Brian, how come you're not doing the show tomorrow and Monday? Well, we're still doing the show live. I'm not playing a best of. But tomorrow on the show, it's going to be interesting. Liberal talk show host. No, I'm not talking about me, you dopes. Liberal talk show host, Doug Basham. He and his hairdo will be joining us tomorrow. I am flying out to New Orleans. Numchuck like that one. I'll be flying out to see the Saints play the Raiders. I've never been there. I've never been to New Orleans before. I'm very excited. It's going to be a lot of fun, hanging out with friends, watching the game. And Monday, since I'm flying in so godly early in the morning, I don't know why I did that. I need my sleep for Halloween that night. Chris Wynn is going to be hosting the show on Monday, and he'll have some very special guests, I'm sure, joining him on Monday. I'm sure Doug will as well. Please follow me on social media at Pushing Limits LV. Also, my YouTube page, which is PTL Vegas. I've had a lot of people lately asking me, where can I find your podcast? Go on my YouTube page. It's PTL Vegas. Go on my Twitter page. It's at Pushing Limits LV. Or you can even find me on Facebook. Look for the pasty skinned bald Brian. That's me on Facebook. And send me a friend request. Until then, folks, I am going to enjoy my 4-day weekend. Pushing Limits rolls on tomorrow with Doug Basham. I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. I know I will. I will be back in this chair on Tuesday. And be safe, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more.